From the studios of KENW on the campus of Eastern New Mexico University, it's You Should Know, featuring the people and events of Eastern New Mexico and West Texas.
With me right now are Carol Calderon and Karen Powers. And Carol is an ICANN natural educator with New Mexico State. And Karen is the coordinator for Healthy Kids, Healthy Community. And let me start with you, Karen. What is Healthy Kids, Healthy Community?
It is a mandated program that is funded by Department of Health and SNAP Education, and we promote healthy eating and physical activity. And our county was selected because we have a high obesity rate in children. And so I go out in the schools and in the community and promote these programs. And
why would we want to have ICANN nutritional educators in the community? What sorts of things do you do?
Well, ICANN stands for Ideas for Cooking and Nutrition. It's funded by USDA and the SNAP Ed program, which is Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. And we're from NMSU and Roosevelt County Extension Office. ICANN promotes healthy living and physical activity as well. And we teach nutrition lessons to SNAP Ed participants and limited participants in New Mexico. So we do nutrition lessons, and it promotes healthy living and healthier eating as well with like our WIC clients, our SNAP Ed participants, senior centers, and also our local schools, our youth.
So there are some physical exercise type things that you might talk about, walking a little bit, those sorts of things.
Yes.
As well as nutrition.
Nutrition and physical activity together.
Okay, that's great. Let's talk about what you have accomplished, which I think is great in the last few years here in this Portales community and some in Elida as well. You've grown some gardens. Talk to me about the gardens, Carol.
Yes, our program started in 2016, and before that it did not exist. And so one of the things that I felt was important was to have a school/community garden. And so I started with James Elementary here in Portales. And so we decided we would try to start a raised bed garden. And so it started from nothing until I did different kinds of, not really fundraising, but going out within the community and finding good community partners who would help us get started with this garden. And our community partners, some of them helped with the education, such as Kurt James at Garden Source, who is a great community partner. I mean, he informed me what kind of things we could grow in March, that we could start in March. I didn't think we could do that. And so he educated me, and then he's really good about going into the schools, and he starts the program and talks to the kids and talks to them about seeds and growing. And so we started out with 6 raised beds. We had discounted lumber, people who gave some monetary support, discounted soil, those kind of things. But we only had 6, so it was kind of hard because we only had 6 classrooms that could participate. And so the following year we added 6 more raised beds, so that way we could have an entire grade level participate. So we had all our 2nd graders who did it. And then the following year, was lucky enough to work with the city, and they wrote us in with their Clean and Beautiful grant. And so that supported 6 more raised beds. And then also I applied for a Walmart community grant and got that, so that added 6 more. So now we are up to 24 raised beds. Every classroom can participate, including the special education classes. We have big plantings in March where the entire school plants. We plant spinach, lettuce, radishes. In fact, we had our planting day in March this year, which was kind of interesting due to COVID. We couldn't have big groups out there at a time, so we kind of had to stretch it out to an entire week. But the plants are growing well, so we'll probably be harvesting sometime next week. And we harvest it, we get it cleaned, we get it to the cafeteria, they prepare it, and so we serve it to the kids in the cafeteria. So the kids get to see the entire growing process from the seed, which they are fascinated how small the seeds are. They do all kinds of educational activities. They do math activities, they do science activities, they do reading activities. They just do those all during the time, and then they get to see the growth, and then they get to eat it. And because most kids think that produce comes from Walmart or the grocery store.
Yes.
And so now they understand the process.
They understand where it comes from, and they've actually had a chance to watch it grow.
Exactly.
Tell me, now you mentioned that during the COVID shutdown, things were rather difficult for you. How did you handle other ways of communicating with them? Did you use Zoom? And
Well, luckily, when it was time to plant, they were kids that were in school. And so we could have them come out of, and we practiced social distancing, so we had them plant. And, we let the kids get down on their hands and knees. They get their hands in the dirt. We let them see the entire process. And so, like I say, it just took, instead of one day, we usually get it all done in one afternoon. It took 5 days. But we got it planted. So we were thrilled with that.
that's great. And you're able to plant in March and not have frost
Right.
problems.
Exactly. And then one of the things that Carol does, she's another great community partner, is she does windowsill gardens with the kids in the classroom. And so they can take their plants that they grow in the classroom home, and hopefully they start a garden at home.
Carol, let's let people know just how much the kids are learning. What sorts of questions do they ask you while you're working with them on these gardens?
They'll ask, how long will it take for the plant to grow, and what will I do with it? And it's just interesting and fun to get to watch them see the cycle of the plant. And some of them have tried, for example, spinach, and they'll look at it and say, "Ooh, I didn't know I could eat a leaf." And to their surprise, when they try it for the first time, they end up liking it.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you if you had used them in salad, so they could see the spinach there with maybe a tomato mixed with it or something else, and put some dressing on it.
Yes,
Did they like that?
We do tastings, yes.
Yeah?
And they do, one thing that I do with them is we make a little happy face, like with the radishes. I'll slice them, like for the eyes, and then the spinach can be kind of like the hair, and then we'll call it a superhero veggie, and they get to do it. Each of them get to do their own little superhero veggie, and they're more likely to try it when they do it, and they taste it.
Okay, good. Well, what are some other ways that you get the healthy message to them? You talk about tasting and so forth. Do you have some other projects that or things they can participate in?
Yes, I bring other items that I have, and I show them like the fat and like sugar and salt, and some of not so healthy, but what they like chips and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, this is why it's a sometimes, and this is why we want more fruits and veggies, because it's healthier for us. It makes us stronger, healthier. We can run faster, and when they're smaller, when the kids are smaller, they're like, oh, it's like.
So they really want to be able to run
Yes,
faster, don't they?
And be healthy. Yes.
Yes.
And then I say, well, it's a good way to start now. So when you get older,
Mhm.
you'll be healthier and stronger.
Very good. Very good. That's something very valuable for them. I understand that an award was won back in 2019. Can you tell me about that?
Yes, we were awarded the national state school garden of the year at the legislature, and so we were recognized at the legislature, and which I thought was a really good accomplishment compared, because they were comparing all of the school gardens in the entire state, and so yes.
Yeah. Well, in view of Roosevelt County's history in farming, we better be doing pretty
Exactly, exactly.
It's wonderful. How did they react the first time you let them put their hands in the dirt?
Well, it's really funny because they're ready, they're excited to plant, because we bring them together and we have like a mini science lesson and talk to them about the seeds and the planting and what they're going to do, and what the seeds need to grow, and we even address composting. We have a composting station there at the garden, and so when they get down in the dirt, first they're kind of looking at us and going, okay, let's get down in there, because we have them, mix the dirt up, because there's different kinds of soil in there. We have them mix it up. We show them how to, draw the little lines in the soil and drop the seeds, and they're very meticulous about it because they don't want to mess up. They want their garden to grow, and it's located on the playground. Now it's not a part of the playground where they play on, but when they go out to play every day, that's the first thing they do is they gravitate towards their bed, and they want to see the progress. And one nice thing about our spring planting is about a week the seeds start to come up, so they get to see that quickly, so they understand what the process is.
It would be hard to start in the fall because
Right.
there are very few things. Cabbage
Right.
maybe would grow for you, but
Right.
not a whole lot of other things. But do they participate in pulling weeds?
Oh, yes,
Tell the
yes.
difference between the weeds and
They maintain it. A lot of kids, they're measuring with their rulers, the daily growth or when they go out. They help water. They help the teachers will direct, different kids to water. And then, like I say, the teachers do their activities within the classroom, so it all comes to, together across the curriculum for them. And they're most excited when it's tasting day, when they can go and harvest it. And, and sometimes the individual classrooms do that, but there's so much with how many beds we have. That's when we take it to the cafeteria, and like as Carol said, lots of times they've never had spinach. They've never had radishes. There's so many kids and they'll try it because they grew it. We'll go around and say, what did you grow? Well, I grew that, so we make sure they get to taste that, and then they taste everything else. But they're in fact, last year when we went, year before last, because when Carol and I were handing out their vegetables, and there were parents there because it was towards the end of school, and the parents said, how do you get them to eat this? And we'll say, because they grew it. They take ownership, and so,
they want to taste something.
They want to taste it, yes.
Wonderful.
And so we've never had a child who just, maybe one, seriously, who's not going to try it, but they all want to try it, and they'll go, oh, this is good, that they're,
Yeah. Well, in addition to flavor, Carol, do you talk to them? You mentioned you're going to make better runners and healthier people out of them. Do you mention the color of the vegetable? For instance, I would think spinach would be great for teaching them that there's iron in our blood.
Yes, I do. I tell them, the nutrients in the vegetables and what they do, and they get pretty excited to know that that helps them somehow.
And what are some other projects? There was a a 1, 2, 3?
It's
Yeah.
the 5210.
5210.
Yes,
Okay.
that's the program that I do with third graders, and I do that in Portales and Elida and Floyd. And it's a 3-week program. It's a challenge for those kids. And 5 is 5 servings of fruits and vegetables. 2 is 2 hours or less of screen time. 1 is 1 hour of physical activity. And O is for H2O, water. And so for 3 weeks, we want them to do the 5210 every day. And as they participate through that, at the end of the program, if they have done it for the 21 days, then they get a real medal. It's not plastic,
Yeah.
And so they're quite excited about that. And so that's been a very successful program. Again, this program started with me, and so I didn't have anything to compare it to or how to introduce it, but the schools have been very welcoming, and we've done that.
I am once again surprised that that you can get them to give up some of their screen time.
Exactly.
I think that's wonderful, because there's a big world out there.
Exactly.
And,
yes. And we had to make exceptions this year because I couldn't go in the classroom and present it, and I go in every week and check in with their progress. And so, some schools I couldn't get in, so I did it by Zoom. And so we kind of had the 2 hours or less of screen time, we had to use that as their fun time, their extra time. It couldn't be their school time.
Well,
we made the exception.
Very good. Karen mentioned water, and do children realize, do they know that they can get dehydrated, and dehydration is a very dangerous thing, as well as just not being good for your health? Do you talk to them about that?
Yes, we encourage for them to choose healthier drinks and more water, less sugary drinks, more water. And Karen and I together, we do a tasting with flavored water. We'll come in and we'll show them how to flavor their water with strawberries and maybe with cucumbers and lemon slices. Make it more flavorful, more healthy, instead of the sugary drinks.
That's great. And are they surprised when they?
Yes, they get excited.
Yeah.
Yes, they get excited, and
that's wonderful. I mentioned the fall earlier. What kinds of things can you do in the fall, or is this just a spring program?
Well, in the fall, I do Eat Smart to Play Hard, and that's a program that I do with 4th graders in Roosevelt County.
Okay.
And that is a 6-week program, and it's family-oriented. So this goes for 6 weeks. And so they take home a recipe, and they take home a physical activity that they can participate with their family. We encourage that. And so, like for, example, one of it is like tacos, and it gives them the recipe, and then it gives them all kinds of options of what they can do to make their tacos together. And then on the other side, it might be like red light, green light. And so that is a 6-week program, and then when they get through with that program, if they participated all 6 weeks, they also get a real medal, not a plastic one or a paper. The kids always ask that. It's really important to them. Is it real, or is it plastic, or is it paper? So they get a different medal with that program also.
Very good.
So there again, we're trying to get that message across of healthy eating and physical activity.
Now, you're going to get ready, and you're going to plant in March. Do you spend some time talking to them ahead of time so that they know exactly what it is they're going to do?
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
And talk to me about community members who might be interested in helping with the children.
Well, we encourage anybody who has an interest. We invite them to planting day. We've had lots of community partners who come on planting day. And then also, I'm a big picture taker, so I take lots of pictures, and I keep our community partners updated with what's happened. And then sometimes we have extra produce because we replant during the summer. And we'll take produce to our partners too. But we've used that produce that we've grown, like we've taken it to Produce to People and handed it out. We've taken it to churches who have outreach programs. So anything that grows in our garden does not go to waste.
That sounds wonderful. Let's talk about, we mentioned kindergartners and third graders and second graders. There are a lot of adults out there. When I mentioned people not drinking enough water, that's a problem with people my age. They don't know that 64 ounces of water is a good idea every day. And do you ever, and Carol, let me ask you this. Do you ever work with older people to help them know about health and food and those sorts of things?
Yes, I do. I go to senior centers, like Los Abuelitos, La Casa, and Community Service Center, and do some of their seniors. And yes, we do. We encourage healthier beverages as well, more water for the health of it. And I compare like the sugar, like in a soda, and then tell them that's not good for our health. And then I show them how to do some infused water as well.
I know I take a big round white pill to help with sugar, and it would be better if I would eat food that didn't have sugar in it. So even I can use some advice from time to time. And that's very good. So what do we have planned for next year? Is when school gets back, you think the children are going to be happy about that?
Well, I know they will be, and I know the teachers will be, and we're looking forward to getting back in the schools. And Carol and I, like I say, we are big community partners. One of the things that we really miss this year is we go into the kindergartens in Roosevelt County again, and we do fruit and vegetable tastings. We go back multiple times, and here again we're exposing the kids to different types of produce that they might not be aware of. And we really miss that this year. We enjoy going to. And there again, that's one of the things I've had lots of where I have seen parents out in the community, since we're such a small community, who'll say, hey, we had to buy jicama today because they did a tasting with you. Or and one time when I had a grandma, she says, I'm so disappointed because after school we would go get a slushie, and we couldn't get that because that has too much sugar. And so I thought, well, little by little, if we educate the children, they might educate their families.
Very good, and that's the time to learn, isn't it?
Right.
When they're little.
Yes.
And it's wonderful. Well, I think this is just really great. But tell me about the teachers. How do the teachers feel about having you all come and work with them? What do you think, Carol?
Oh, they're very supportive, and they love for our programs for us to come in and do our programs and work with the children and teach them about nutrition and physical activity, healthier choices for a healthier lifestyle.
That's great.
Right.
I had my wife helped a teacher. She knew someone who had tomato stands for growing tomatoes, and one of the grade school teachers here, I won't mention her name because I don't want everybody bugging her for tomatoes, but anyway, we got her those, and she was just thrilled about that and told me all about the things she did. So I think probably some of the teachers have gardens of their own, and
Definitely.
and are interested in helping. And I love the part about when they go out to play, they run by the garden first. That says a lot for your program.
Right.
Because when I was a kid and they let us out that door into that playground, there were places we headed. Early on we'd fight over the swings and the merry-go-round, and later we'd run to the basketball court and kick ball and all of those kinds of things. But if they like to go out and look at those gardens first, that's a wonderful statement that you're making for them there. Is there anything that you'd like to say to the people in general in the community Maybe there are some communities out there who don't have programs like this, where we go all across the state. What would you recommend for schools? You think this is a very good program for them to get interested in and work with?
Oh, definitely. And I'm a retired second grade teacher. And
Mhm.
so I would have loved to have had some of these things come. It's always good when you have outside people come in and teach in your, teach in your classroom. And like I say, the teachers have been very welcoming. And I think a testament to our programs that even when we didn't have kids or we had hybrid learning or whatever, the teachers still wanted us to get in there. So I felt that, okay, they feel our message is important and they want to continue with this, even though we had to get creative how we did it this year. So, yeah, anybody across the state, first thing they need to do is see if they have a nutrition educator at their extension office,
Mhm.
and see if they have a coordinator from Healthy Kids. Like I say, there's only 13 counties that have Healthy Kid coordinators, but if they have those, then that's a valuable resource for them.
Well, okay. Thank you both very
Yes.
much for being here, and I hope this helps New Mexico State get more people out there, and helps with more children learning more about what real vegetables that just were picked from the garden taste like, and anything we can do for these children after what has happened to us during the COVID shutdown is wonderful. And I'm going to sneak over sometime to James and watch him get out for,
Yes, please
yeah,
do. Please do.
and watch him run to the garden to look at the vegetables. Well, thank you both very much. We appreciate anyone who works with children. This has been wonderful talking to you, and thank you very much for watching.